All right, let's get started. All right. Uh, First of all, hello everyone. Welcome to our workshop today. This workshop is brought by KusionStack, which is an open source project that we're maintainers of. Today we'll go through a simple showcase to deploy and manage an LLM agent application with KusionStack. We'll begin with some basics and try to keep this as interactive as possible. We prepared an example, a very simple example, so that everyone in this workshop can participate and deploy your copy of it. Ideally, if you would have your OpenAI key and an AWS account, you should be able to run through the full demo. And rest assured, if you don't, you can still follow the first part of the demo regardless. First, a quick introduction about us, the presenters. My name is Forrest Chen. I have been at Ant Group for a little over a year as part of the team that maintains KusionStack. I used to work for MasterCard in the US prior to this, designing and building an Azure-based IDP that serves a large number of developers on a daily basis. My colleague here is Dayuan Li. He has been at Ant Group for 6 years, I think. And everybody say hi. Hi. And building large-scale application management platforms mostly. He's also the maintainer of KusionStack and the major contributor for the past couple of years. So about our agenda today, we will briefly cover the background before jumping into the demo itself, mostly so that we have enough context for the demo to make sense. We will talk about the challenges we're facing, specifically the unique ones at Ant Group that contributed to the birth of this project. We'll explain some of the basic concepts in Kusion, which is the platform orchestrator tool in KusionStack. Then we'll jump straight into a live demo that we hope everyone will be able to do the same and end up with a working agent application. So first of all, this is Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Here are some of the common things developers care about during an application delivery. This is some real pain in real life because a lot of cases it's tickets driven. You often see developers asking questions like, oh, how many systems are involved in my application delivery? How many cloud products are involved? How many people do I have to ping to get this done? Or how long does it take, right? We are all here today because we're interested in some of the platform technologies that can deal with this. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of Ant Group. Some of you may have heard of Alipay, which is where Ant Group traces its root back to. So Ant Group runs in a massive scale, serving as the critical financial infrastructure in China. On one hand, Alipay serves over 1 billion users. Yes, you heard that right. And over 80 million merchants. And we process hundreds of millions of transactions on a daily basis. So this requires the most stability, safety, and risk management on the payment business side, or as we call it, the digital finance side. On the other hand, the company is trying out new business forms, things like streaming, videos and shorts, advertisements. This is typical what we call internet business. This requires iterations in quick successions to innovate and test out new ideas. So this diversity poses very unique challenges, I think, on the technical staff here at Ant Group. More importantly to us as the original platform team, this poses very different infrastructure requirements as needed by different business cases. We actually have a talk releasing tomorrow covering this story from the strategy point of view. But here today, we're going to deep dive from the technical side in the aspect of application delivery and operations, showing some tools that we're using. So I'm going to try to make this part quick because I think most of us here want to see a live demo and run through it together. So long story short, we ran in the traditional platform as a service approach for nearly a decade, and we discovered that it's at a point where productivity is kind of hurt by several critical issues, mostly caused by an explosive growth of infrastructure complexity over the years. from a developer standpoint, they're overloaded with infrastructure knowledge. From a platform standpoint, they become a bottleneck for exposing infrastructure capabilities. There's often more than one team, or actually quite a lot of teams involved in teamwork, and coordinations between different parties are usually hard. And then from a security standpoint, security parameters and postures are harder to define and establish. And because of the reconciliation mechanism in Kubernetes, when something goes wrong, the blast radius is usually potentially huge. So here comes our response, right? So we want the platform teams to be able to define what we call golden paths for developers. So this slide looks complex, but I'll get to the very point of it, which is separation of concerns. So we believe the application team, which is the part on the top, they should be concerned about things that are environment agnostic, right? So usually this means application team would like to describe what my workload profile looks like, what are my accessories, aka things like I'm going to need a database of version X and size Y, and not be concerned with exactly what the database specification looks like in a given environment. And then on the bottom left part, this is what we think the platform team should be concerned about. They should create, the platform team should create things like, I'm going to define a standardized workload profile. If you're going to use, say, Kubernetes deployment, or let's say some customized workloads, and some of the behaviors like image pool policy, for example. And then the platform team is also going to define, other than the workload part, it's also going to define behaviors for different accessories, like database, for example, database behaviors, networking behaviors, things that are standardized capabilities, and sometimes that requires different environment-specific configurations. For example, if you're going to have a larger database in production and a smaller one in dev, these are the things that we believe application developers don't need to care about, or really shouldn't be concerned with at all. So this has two parts, right? One is the standardized capabilities, is what we call cushion modules, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. And the other part is the environment-specific configurations, which is, like I said, the database sizes in different environments. So the Cushion Platform Orchestrator is what we call it today. It takes two inputs, right? One from the platform team and one from the application development teams. And it basically merges these two parts together. It matches them according to the correct deployment context, which is what we call a workspace. You can just, you can understand them as general like environment type of concept. The combination of the dev-facing spec, which is something that we design, or we hope that it could be simple and environment and platform agnostic, where the platform engineers define things like modules and environment-specific configurations. So they get matched together and then create what we call a spec, which is a resource-facing kind of data format. And it's a uniform format for both Kubernetes resource and cloud resources. This spec thing serves as the source of truth and maps one-to-one to the actual infrastructure. All right, so a little bit more on the Cushion modules. Right, if we zoom in on how Cushion modules work, this will be a very simplified version of it. We can absolutely circle back into the details later after the demo. So there's no magic here. Like I said, we're managing both Kubernetes resource and Terraform resources, and by translating them into a spec, which is, like I said, a middle layer kind of data format that encapsulates both. So the platform engineers manage these platform configurations. In Cushion's terms, this is called a workspace configuration. They usually represent a set of default values. Like in this example, in the top right corner, we see MySQL module has a default module config for a size of 20 gigs and with with an instance class of DB-T3 micro. And then for a specific sector of applications that want to override that behavior, you can also define overriding configs. But that's a little kind of advanced use case. We won't be covering that today in the demo. So from an application standpoint, the application developers basically chooses a module and then creates a configuration file, which is a declarative model that describes an application in full. So we'll see that in just one more slides away. And this one looks complex, but really the part that I want to show is the bottom part, which illustrates the workflow of using Kusion, which is generally in 3 steps. The first one is to write configuration codes. And this includes both the application developers writing their side of the story and then the platform team writing their side of the story. And like I said, later on, this basically gets matched and merged into, on this slide, it's called intent, which is the single source of truth for all the resources that's going to be deployed in your environments. And then eventually it gets applied, which is when these resources actually gets created or updated. And before you get to the apply part, there's actually a step called preview, which let you see the live diff of the resources that you're changing, just so that you have an expectation of what's going to happen. All right, so we are in the demo part 1 now. And demo part 1 is really nothing fancy. It's an ordinary Python application that leverages the OpenAI service to answer questions. The purpose of having demo part 1 is so that during our part 2, we'll try to turn on some of the advanced capabilities of the same AI agent that is going to try to answer some field-specific questions. So, sure. Okay. The commands that needs to go through this is already posted in the chat, and we'll walk through them one by one, basically. So, and because this is a story about the collaboration pattern, right, between the platform team and the developers, so I'm going to role play this through demo part 1. So I'm going to first of all do something that the platform team is going to do, aka like setting up workspaces, basically setting up the environment specific configurations and all those things. And just remember, so the demo that I'm going to be doing today is based on a CLI. Where in reality, you can wrap this around, basically, you can wrap it around anything. You can wrap it inside a pipeline, like a Jenkins pipeline. I could have action. You could put it as part of a long-running service that exposes REST APIs and provide service. So this is really just showing the very atomic part of the capabilities of the CLI that we're using. So let's jump through. All right, so we're going to start with the installation. And because I already done the installation, I can actually do Kusion version here and show that it's already installed. So if you want to start with the installation, the steps should already be in the chat. Let's see. 1 second. It's in the chat, right? Okay, yeah. So for you to install, follow basically the first step in the chat to use curl or PowerShell to install Kusion. This might take a little while to download. So I'm gonna pause here for, I don't know, 30 seconds for everyone to catch up on the installation. So after installation, you can do Kusion version or Kusion help or Kusion subcommand help. Either one of those will do. All right. If the installation is done, or if anyone needs time, you can raise their hand now. And we can see if there's any sort of problems during the installation. Otherwise, we'll proceed. The next step, let's see, let me wait for a little while. All right. So now step 2 would be to compose a set of configurations, both from the application side and from the platform engineer side. In this case, we have an example created already, and we've uploaded to GitHub. So in this case, my colleague here just posted the link to the repository named config, which is the repository that we hold all of our examples. So again, I guess, yeah, we already did the git clone, so this is I'm gonna once again wait for a little while for the git clone to complete. And see, okay, so now if you're inside the config repository, the subdirectory we're looking for, oh, actually, first of all, we're gonna do a git checkout to the correct branch. The branch is called Agent, this one. So I'm gonna do checkout agents. It's telling me I'm already on agent branch. Okay, now that we are on the agent branch, the directory we're looking for is called example. And then if we go all the way down, it's example AI agent demo /dev. Now, if we go inside there, we should see, actually, you should see the first 4 files here without the kcl.mod.log file here. Ignore this one if you don't have it. Okay, so now the first step I'm going to do is to create workspaces, because this is the first time or according to the demo, this is the first time Kusion's been installed. And the first step would be for the platform engineers to define workspaces, which is basically an abstraction for environments. And then that would be, and I can start from here. I'm going to delete the ones I have. I'm going to delete the one I have locally. Hold on. All right. So now if I do Kusion workspace list, it should show you nothing other than defaults. Now we're going to do Kusion workspace create. And the workspace we're creating, we're going to call it dev, but really it doesn't really matter what you're calling it. You can call it anything you want, as long as you're passing in the correct, you're passing in a corresponding workspace.yaml file. So now let's first look inside this workspace.yaml. Here we are seeing some configurations for, this is examples of some Kusion modules. Service module and OpenSearch module are the 2 modules that we'll be using today. In the demo, in the part 1 of the demo, we're only going to be using the service module. We'll leave the OpenSearch, which is which creates an AWS OpenSearch resource and give it proper permission. We'll leave that to part 2 of the demo, given by my colleague Darian. So for the first part of the demo, we're only going to be using a service. And here in the workspace config, it's defining where to pull the service module from, the version of it, and some of the platform standardized platform configurations for this given workspace. In the case that we're demoing, it will be the dev workspace. All right, and then at the bottom here will be, as you can see on my screen, these are not commented, but if you're checking out from config, you should see these 4 lines as commented. This is actually on purpose because in the demo that we're showing today, we will be pulling secrets from a secret manager that we've created. So if you do have a secret manager that your access key and secret key can access, you can also leave this uncommented. Otherwise, for the purpose of this demo today, we'll ask you to put your secrets just in the plain. Well, I mean, in the KCL in the main.k file that we'll be seeing in just a minute, but just keep in mind that in production, it's always good practice to not do that and instead put your secret inside. Say in this case, we're using an AWS Secret Manager, which then Kusion will fetch the actual value of the secret during the apply phase, whenever we really create the resources. So, all right, so make sure that you have the bottom 4 lines commented if you're not using a secret manager, which since we didn't put it in the prerequisite, I'm guessing that'll be the case. All right, now we'll be creating the workspace using the file that we're just seeing. All right, so create, now it should state that create workspace dev successfully. That means we have just successfully created this workspace. Now to confirm that, we can do a workspace show and make sure that this basically just prints out the file that we're just seeing, and this means it's being loaded into the Kusion backend. And now, once this file is loaded, you can also do, you might be wondering now as a developer, how do I know what is the list of modules that I can use to write my side of the configuration, right? So now you can do a Kusion mod list and then do a -- workspace dev because the workspace that we just created is called dev. And now, of course, if you renamed it, you can also change it here. You can change the -- workspace to your workspace name. And now you should see that as a developer, now I know that I have 2 modules that I can use to compose my set of configurations. And in reality, this may be tens or even hundreds of them, depending on, maybe not hundreds of them, depending on your actual use case. Now, from a developer standpoint, the file that they're working with inside this directory would be main.k, which is written in KCL or Kusion configuration language. This is a domain-specific language that we use inside Ant Group, and also it's also open source now and is part of the CNCF sandbox projects, but we won't elaborate that here. So now if we look inside this KCL file, you'll see actually mostly it's just key value pairs. It has some advanced features, but we're not diving into that today. So from a developer point of view, I'm going to define, say, this is my application image. This has been built and published already, so you should be able to just use this and it'll pull automatically. And then in order for the agent to talk to OpenAI, we'll need to pass in a environment variable for the agent application to consume. In this case, you're noticing that this is actually a specific protocol. This is Kusion specific, that you're basically writing this to mean that I want to reference a Kubernetes secrets, which is also managed inside the same KCL file, and we'll cover this in just a second. And here under containers, we're omitting a bunch of configurations, like, for example, you can define your resource requirements, you can define your probes, things like that. But it's basically a simplified version of what you can define with the native Kubernetes deployment specification. And now down to this part, we're basically defining the secret to be referenced by the workload. And in this case, again, because we created our secret manager beforehand, we are able to reference an existing secret in the AWS Secret Manager in this particular format. Of course, Yep. In your case, if you do have your own OpenAI API key, then you can just set them here, or otherwise, my colleague just shared an OpenAI API key in the chats that you can use to experience just as part of the experience. So you can just paste them here in this particular field. And for the first part of the demo, this should be it. You'll notice that there's some OpenSearch stuff that's commented out. Those will, sorry, hold on a second. The system thinks I'm speaking Spanish, which is very funny. All right, so yeah, there's some commented out stuff about OpenSearch, which is part of the demo, which is demo part 2, which my colleague will cover in just a second. So now, okay, so now we've gone through the entire main.k. We'll start basically trying out the Cushion tool itself. The first one is I'm going to do a Cushion generate to basically show, remember when I mentioned earlier that there's a middle layer of data format called spec. So generate is going to do exactly that. It's going to generate spec. And it's going to tell you exactly what resources will be generated. In this case, now it's going to generate a Kubernetes namespace because you're going to need it. You're practically going to need it for anything that gets created in Kubernetes. And then it's also going to create a Kubernetes deployment. It's also going to create a secret with the OpenAI API key that I just shared with you, that my colleague just shared with you guys. So this basically tells you what resources will be created. And remember, if there's also cloud resources, which in demo part 2 there will be, it will also show up here. The next step is to do a preview, which is going to show you so it's going to do a 3-way diff. It's going to compare the specifications that you just saw, and it's going to compare a state, which gets created every time after you successfully apply it. And then it's also going to compare what's in the real cluster, your real environments. And then it's going to arrive at some conclusion that this is the bunch of changes if you continue with this particular deployment. So let's just do actually, let's do them one by one. So I want to see the details of this particular namespace that I'm creating. And then I want to see this particular secret. And I want to see this particular deployment. So, and then I want to see all of it, which is going to dump all the like all the changes that's happening throughout this particular deployment. All right, so now if we say we're satisfied with this particular set of changes, then we're going to continue to the stage where these things actually take effect. We're going to do Cushion apply. So let's see, before we do Cushion apply, we actually need to make sure that the kubeconfig environment variable is set. Set. Right? Is it this one? Actually, hold on. We'll need to find the correct. Sorry, give us one. All right, we're back. So I was just actually told that you probably don't need to set this kubeconfig file. All right, so let's go. Let's YOLO this. Workspace dev. Make sure this workspace dev thing matches what you just created earlier in workspace create. Okay. Yeah. So just to make sure that you have, actually no, here's what happens there. I think Cushion will look for the file under your home directory under .kube/config. So if you have your kubeconfig located here, it should be fine. Otherwise, you should set your kubeconfig to what your kubeconfig file actually is. So, all right. In our case, we're just gonna go with Cushion apply, and it's gonna do a preview thing again, just so that it tells you exactly what's gonna happen. Before actually creating it. Now you can do the same thing all over again. You can try to display what the differences are. And then it'll ask you if you want to proceed with these changes. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit yes here. It is going to, here's what it's gonna do. It's going to do the apply. And then after the apply, it's going to watch for the status. So you might notice that here after the apply, the detail actually changed from ready 0 to 1 to ready 1/1. That just means that there is one pod inside this deployment, and it changes status from unready to ready. That's what it means. So it's gonna by default watches the resources that it's creating, including both Kubernetes resources and the cloud resources. For the Kubernetes resources, it's going to wait until those resources are in a ready status. Now I think those are only on a few Kubernetes resources that are native. So for those resources that actually has a definition of what's ready, like pods or deployments, replica set, things like that. So. So now we should have our resources created. We should have our applications created. And let's see. And then we're going to do a kubectl port forward to show that this to forward it to our local machine to show that it's actually working. I'm going to do this. And I need a browser window open. All right, 1 second. Dev agents, AI agent demo. All right, I'm gonna do, hold on. I'm gonna do pod instead. All right, here. All right, so this should be all set. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna do some validations to make sure that this agent actually has been deployed. And this includes, we're gonna ask the agent some questions. We'll start with the ones that, so we'll start with the ones that actually it can answer, which is some general questions, like who are you? Right, hold on 1 second. Okay, yeah. I think this should be, it should be running in the background. No, hold on, this is 80. Right, getting the wrong port, getting to the wrong port. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, oh, this is, Give us 1 second. All right, we're gonna do some real time figuring out what's going on. The deployment though is successful. I think this is something wrong with the quotes, maybe. I'm gonna just ask. Okay. This is generally because of what copy paste does in Chinese. That's my guess. Give us 1 second. Okay, yeah, so I don't know what was happening with the first one. I think it's something wrong with the quotes, but now it should be working. I swear I did not do anything on the other screen. But yeah, so here we're gonna ask it something like, how are you? Yeah, I know. All right, so it does prove that, it does show that it's connecting to OpenAI service. And I know this is a very elementary version of the demo, but my colleague will show an advanced version that does retrieval augmented generation later on. But here at this point, we should be fairly confident to say that our deployment of the AI agent application is successful. And we've asked it a very specific question: what was NVIDIA's profit in Q3 2023? It's telling me that it does not have access to real-time financial data. So in the second part of the demo, my colleague will show that we'll be using a PDF file of NVIDIA's 10Q documentation to use that as an external data source for knowledge retrieval. So at the end of the demo part 1, we'll politely ask everyone to run through the last part of Kusion's workflow, which is the last step we did was to apply, which is to create the resources. And now we're going to ask everyone to do the Kusion destroy, basically, towards the very end of the Kusion workflow here. Yeah. So now if you do this, it should actually, I think I'm at the wrong. Yeah. So I'm going to stop the port forward and I'm going to do a Kusion destroy. Oh, do you have written somewhere all commands you type, for example, the commands for preview for apply? Yes, absolutely. I will be posting them in just a minute. And once my colleague takes over to show the part demo 2, I will be posting the exact commands that I was using inside the channel. Does that sound good? Cool, awesome. All right, so the last step of the workflow is to do a Kusion destroy, which if you do this, it's also going to pop up with a preview window, and it's going to try to confirm this is exactly the kind of dangerous things that you want to do, is just to delete your entire application. All right, so you can also, again, you can show the exact diff that's happening. For example, you're actually deleting the secret, you're deleting the namespace, and then you're deleting the deployments. So now if I select yes to the question, do you want to proceed and destroy these resources? I select yes, it's going to basically destroy the application that we just deployed. And that concludes the demo part 1. So demo part 2 includes hold on 1 second. Where's the Zoom? All right, so part 2 has a lengthy process to create an AWS OpenSearch that takes like 15 to 25 minutes, depending on the situation. So I'm gonna hand it over to my colleague here, and he's gonna start with demo part 2. He's gonna press the button first, and then we'll have about, I don't know. Do you want to do Q&A now or later?
Later.
Okay, so he's going to talk about his demo part number 2, and then we might have some time left when we're creating the OpenSearch, and then we can do our Q&As during. So appreciate everyone for watching the demo part 1. I'm going to hand it over to Dao-Yuan.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Boris. Hi, everyone. I'm Li Dayuan. You can call me Daniel. I'm the maintainer of KusionStack. In the first part, most of the concept and the philosophy and workflow have been introduced by Boris. So in the second part, I would like to introduce some advanced features of Kusion. It's about deploying an AI agent in Kubernetes and cloud. So before we start, please make sure you have an AWS account that contains the Amazon OpenSearch service for access, the permission Amazon OpenSearch service for access. Okay, this example will create an OpenSearch instance, which will incur some costs. It's okay if you don't have an AWS account. You can just watch my operations, and we will post a user guide on our website and upload this demo on YouTube. Okay, let's start. As mentioned before, since creating an OpenSearch instance on AWS is very time-consuming, it's about 25 minutes. I will modify some codes and execute some Kusion command first, and you plan the whole thing later. So, okay. Let's go back to the main config. I will uncomment all the environment. This means enable the RG. If you do have a AWS account, you can replace your AK and SK token here, just like the OpenAI one. And I will uncomment this and the accessory. The accessory is the OpenSearch module. Okay. And the workspace. Let's go back to the terminal. Do I need to uncomment some lines in the workspace YAML? I think so. Oh, open the tab. Give me a second to check if I need to modify the workspace. YAML. Okay, everything is fine. Yeah. The security store have been commanded. Okay. As you can see, the first part of the YAML is the OpenSearch. It means OpenSearch module. It provides it just since it's a demo module, it just provide a provision OpenSearch in the AWS and make some connections to the workload. Here is the default configs. You can just use the default values and do not need to change the values. And the statement is something related to the IAM. If you do not understand it, that's fine. Just keep the values here. And we go back to go back to the workspace. Okay, Kusion preview. I just execute the Kusion apply. Let's see what happens.
没点开给忘了。
Yeah, I see. Make sure I have changed.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see the details. The first resource is the new one, as you can see, is the open search domain resource, and the last three one has been destroyed. Has been introduced in the first demo. This is what we will have in the AWS cloud. Okay, I just continue with the yes, since the creating time is very long. Okay, let's go back to the config. Let's oh, wait a minute. I would like to explain what the RAG mean and what the sequence workflow of the whole thing. Okay, RAG stands for the retrieval augmented generation. In the previous demo, when you ask a question that the LLM, the OpenAI LLM doesn't know, he will answer you that I don't know. But in some scenarios, when you deploy an AI agent in your own company, you will have some enterprise knowledge. Yeah, but this knowledge are not public. So we should figure out a method to tell the LLM to know what the enterprise knowledge is. So the first thing we can do is to save our enterprise knowledge as a PDF and save and convert the PDF into embeddings by the embedding model, and then store the embeddings into the vector DB. So the second time when I ask the question, the LLM doesn't know, it will retrieve the knowledge from the vector DB and combine the knowledge with the question the user asked. So so it will figure out what the real answer is. So the idea behind this is quite simple. If the LLM doesn't know something, you provide him what he should know, then he will tell you the answer. Okay, and the second part we will walk through the Python code. The Python code is the AI agent. You can find it in the src directory. And this code is what the image we set here. This code is quite simple. At first, we define some environments, environment variables, and some functions. We don't need to care about them. Then we go to the main function. The first step is initialize the chat model with the OpenAI key, and the name of the model is GPT 3.5. And create a QA chain with the model. When the RAG environment variable is set as true, okay, we will go to the line 168, load the simple document, is the NVIDIA PDF path. We also provide the PDF here. And split the text into chunks and embedding. all the functions are imported from the long chain library. Okay. Okay, then the host. Okay, the host it means the open search endpoint is the vector DB we provisioned in the AWS cloud. What? Do you have any questions? Any messages in the chat?
I'll see any. Alejandro, did you have a question? All right, let's proceed.
Let's proceed. Continue. Okay, the open search endpoint, as you can see, is also get from the environment, and this value will be set. Hello? Okay, continue. This value will be set by Kusion automatically. Okay, then this is the real whole endpoint of the open search instance in the AWS cloud. Okay, since we have this host URL, we can set up the client and check the index we need if it exists, and set up the vector database. Okay. Once the vector database is created and the document has been embedded and all the values have been stored in the vector database, we can create a retrieval QA chain. It's also provided by Longchain, the library. So it's quite simple, right? And we run this code as a web service. Okay, the second part is, the third part is the API configuration. As you can see, I have just uncommented some environments. RG enable means I want to enable the RG and ask a question. Ask the question, and the LLM will retrieve the document from the vector DB and open search ACK and SecretKey. Is a reference here. A reference from a secret. The secret in this case, the secret is a Kubernetes secret, and the Kubernetes secret is ref from the AI agent open. From the reference here means that the actual secret is stored in Amazon secret management. I will explain this later. You might be a little confused about why there are so many environments here. Let me explain this. Oh, wait a moment. Have you told them to export some AWS environments? Okay. Yeah, but
we need something very nervous.
Okay. I will talk about it later. Okay, the first thing here is the reference. The reference, when you execute this configuration with Kusion will analyze the whole configuration and find that, oh, here is a reference here, and he will retrieve the actual secret value from the cloud. In this case, as we shown in the workspace configuration here, workspace configuration. Here, we set the secret store at AWS. AWS means that it's a Amazon secret manager as the secret store. But we also support some other secret stores like Vault, Azure, and other cloud. So the reference here just mean I want to retrieve, tell Kusion that you need to retrieve the actual secret and replace the secret here. Okay, all the three values are the same. And once these values are replaced with the actual value, and Kusion will, as you can see, it's a secret block. All the data here will be converted into Kubernetes secret. And by that, the workload can reference the secret by this reference. And the question will replace this with the value in the secret. Okay, let's go through this again. The first question will retrieve the actual value from the cloud and replace the value here and convert it into a Kubernetes secret. And second, question also will replace the value here in the environment from the value of the secret. Okay. By far, the workload will know the workload in the Python code run here. OS get environment by the key will get the actual value. Have you sent the? Wait a minute. Okay, the message has been sent to the chat. I forgot to mention that if you want to provision OpenSearch instance with your own AWS account, you also need besides these values, you also need to export some values in your local machine, the AWS AccessKey ID and AWS secret key. You can also send the export the environment of the Windows format. These values are set into your local machine is because we leverage Terraform to provision the cloud resource. These values will be used by the Terraform. Okay, let's continue. Let me check if the provision have finished. Oh, it has been 11 minutes and it's still. Okay, what?
The question is, will this meeting be available to guests? If you have the ability to invite someone, you can absolutely pull them in. If you don't, you can post the email that you want to invite, and then I will send the invitation.
Also, can they just click the link you sent to the Slack? And I remember you said.
Yeah. There's also a link of this meeting in the Slack channel that you can distribute. So yeah, absolutely. We're welcome. Yeah, we're welcome.
Feel free to invite anyone you think they will be interested in this workshop. Okay, let's continue.
Oh, and also, if you mean it will you be able to access the video recording of this? We'll post this on YouTube after it's done.
Okay. Since Kusion is still working to provision the OpenSearch instance, let's continue to the slides. Okay, what has Kusion done in the host and the hog flows? Kusion provisioned Kusion provisioned one cloud resource in the vector database, but it leveraged another cloud resource, AWS Security Manager, to store the extra secret. And it also provisioned the sorry, the Kubernetes resource, provision the Kubernetes resource like deployment and new things. This is the first step what the Kusion has done. And the first part is the Kusion will retrieve the secrets from the cloud, as I mentioned before, and replace the reference with the config. And the third step is Kusion will inject the environment variables to the workload. After the provision has finished, I will show you what does the injected environment variable mean in the in the spec. The spec. You have mentioned the spec, right? Yeah. The middle layer of the Kusion. It just we regard it as a single source of truth. Okay. Oh, yeah. We have created the 4 resources and the open search instance have been created. Okay, let's check. kubectl get deploy. Oh. Yeah, great. Code and report is running. Port forward. Is this the command, the right command? Okay, I need to change the name of the port. Okay. Okay. Is that right? Yeah. Forward. Okay. Let's go to another tab. Yeah. Okay. I will. Sorry. I will ask. Have you logged into the AWS in this compute? I can show you that the open source. Okay, we just need to finish the demo, and if we still have time, I will show you that the open search have been created. I will ask the same question asked before, and let's see what happens. It's a little slow here. Yeah, it worked. As you can see, the same question asked before, the LLM module answered, I'm sorry, I don't have the real-time financial data, but after we enable the RAG, we provided the PDF, the NVIDIA financial report to the LLM, and it knows NVIDIA profit is a lot of money. A lot of money. Okay, yeah, I can count. Okay, this is the part 2 of the demo, and we still have some time. I can show you guys that we actually created an instance in the can you see my screen? Yeah, this page I have opened before. You can see that there's no domain here, but if I refresh, see what happened. Yeah, it's correct and up to date. Go to the details. Okay, go to the details. Let's see the indexes. Indexes here. You can see the test index. The test index is we just created, and the size is almost the same size as the PDF here. Okay, that's all. Q&A time.
Sure, yeah, let's do a Q&A. I'm sure you must have a lot of questions because we dumped a lot of information on you. Feel free to either raise your hand or type them in the chat or speak.
Or speak, yeah.
Yeah, whichever way works.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Well, I have this is a great presentation despite a few minor mishaps. And I have a question. I would like to know that if Kusion has some customized enhancements for LLM applications or models, such as some simplified model ops commands or support for common LLM models. From my point of view, I think Kusion, what you have shown means that Kusion mainly provides a mechanism for collaboration and extensions. Or do you guys have some plans for further enhancements specifically for AI applications in the future? And by the way, when I was trying out Kusion, I noticed a small typo. Can I submit a pull request to fix it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you answer the question?
For the first one, do you mean support for AI agent applications or the models themselves?
Well, I think I would like to know both of them. Both the LLM ops and the AI agent applications.
Okay, we'll start with model ops. We'll start with the operations regarding models themselves. I think we talked about this internally before, and as you can see on the screen here, actually, it's showing something called an app configuration. So right now, this is Kusion is still mostly application centric. It's targeting around the concept of applications. If we were to do, but actually deep down, what Kusion does is it uses the same kind of data format, which is spec, to drive the delivery for application codes, infrastructures, or whatever, including I think models included. So if we were to make some customizations for deploying models, I think the first step would be to create something similar to app configuration. Maybe we'll call it something like model configuration or large language model configuration. What it does is it's going to expose some parameters that the people that operates these models care about, and then maybe abstract some away from them to reduce complexity. So again, the whole idea, and I think the whole idea of Kusion is kind of proposing a new collaboration paradigm, basically separating the concerns between one group from another. So in this case, I think if there are certain things that the model operators care about, and there are certain things that they don't, they can absolutely benefit from this whole framework that Kusion provides. We can develop a new, like I said, a model configuration schema and kind of fits them into the Cushion framework. Right now, it's, like I said, it's still application centric, but this is something that we're looking into at the moment.
Yeah, it's really a good question, and we do think about this in our team, and we have some experimental projects that about so-called model ops. Yeah, how to operation models, the language models with Cushion. As mentioned by Forrest, the basic concept or the in other words, the problem we try to solve is collaboration. Yeah, if the problem you need collaboration, I think we will find a way that Cushion can. We will try to find out if Cushion can help them to solve their problem. But at this moment, we are mainly focused on the application configuration, but we also have some experimental projects about the models, the LLM models.
Does that answer your question?
Okay, I think yeah. I think I've got it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone having other questions?
Okay. The last part. Yeah, the last part. We'll share some takeaways with you guys.
All right.
Wrap
So
up.
yeah. Excuse me. All right, so we're toward the end of our session here today. And I've summarized some of the takeaways that we're having prior to leaving. So the challenge we're facing today is that developers are overloaded with infrastructure knowledge. And the reason it's a big pain point is that it kind of slows down innovation. And also platform kind of became a bottleneck when trying to meet the growing business requirements, and that needs to be re-architected to create more productivity. So again, then our approach is to have this dynamic configuration management based on a self-service capability driven by a separation of concern. So that is the new collaboration paradigm that we're defining. And then to drill a little deeper into this, the platform engineers build reusable building blocks in the form of Cushion modules, and then developers leverage those based on that capability. And we've kind of proven that this is actually a technically viable solution from the massive practice here that we do at Ant Group. And then also there's no one IDP that fits all. So always, I think our principle is that you should build one with your specific needs with an open source product that usually yields a better return on investment. So again, and this is kind of my personal summary today. Here's the essence of this Cushion demo today is that we think developers can self-service a new collaboration paradigm that is mostly protocol driven instead of people driven or tickets driven. When you try to go locate people from infrastructure team, from the platform team, ping them and say, can you do XYZ for me? So that's kind of the major takeaways that we have here today. And then on the last slide, we have some ways to find us after the session today. And again, like I had mentioned earlier, the recording of this session will be uploaded to YouTube. And also you can find us on GitHub, you can find us on Slack, on Medium, on Twitter. or you can reach out to us personally. I'm going to post our email addresses in the chat as well if you have more questions tomorrow. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I think we see a new question. Can we use Cushion with Backstage? I'm going to be honest, I don't have much knowledge. I don't have very deep knowledge on Backstage, but like I mentioned earlier.
No, we have some practice.
Okay.
Yeah,
some prototypes. Okay.
Yeah, we do have some practice about to integrate Cushion and Backstage in Ant group, and yeah, both of us are from Ant group. But it's not open source right now. Yeah, to be honest. If we have some more details that we need to ask for permission if we can share some more details about how to integrate Cushion and the Backstage. But I can answer you that yes, Cushion can integrate with Backstage, and we have practice in undergrad.
Yeah, so what I was saying earlier was that I think Cushion as a CLI is actually fairly easy to integrate with pretty much anything. Like I mentioned, you can wrap it inside another service. You can wrap it inside a pipeline of any sorts. So it's really lightweight. And like we showed you today, and I'm hoping that people can actually, people were able to follow our demos today. Hopefully that was a lightweight and kind of a pleasant experience. So yeah, and we can try to share more details with Backstage if we get the permission to. Is there a limitation in terms of infrastructure it can generate? That's a great question. So I think we very briefly mentioned it with all the infrastructure, like if we're talking about infrastructure outside of Kubernetes, all of those are driven through Terraform providers because we figured that there's really no point to reinvent the wheel there. So as long as there is a Terraform provider or you're willing to create one, if it's proprietary or on-prem infrastructure, you can absolutely drive everything through Cushion. It's basically just, like I said, this is more of a proposal for a new collaboration paradigm. And like I said, as long as you have a Terraform provider for it, you should be able to create it. Or, maybe even later on, we'll evolve to the ability to create via cross-plane providers, or even we have a Cushion provider eventually one day as well. Does that answer your question? Awesome. All right. So I have posted our one more question. Supports all Kubernetes config. All Kubernetes resources.
Yeah, you mean Kubernetes config, that means all the Kubernetes resources, all the Kubernetes manifest. Is that right? Yeah, it's about all the Kubernetes.
So I'll explain a little more here. The prerequisite for it supporting all the Kubernetes config is that you will need a Cushion module for the corresponding resources, right?
Yeah, but we have some built-in resources in Cushion, some built-in Cushion modules. You can find all the Cushion modules we have supported in the catalog repo. Yeah, in the KusionStack group. And
I'll post it.
Okay.
But yeah,
my colleague will send the Git repo to the chat.
So we'll provide some out of the box, but for example, for CRDs that you use in your own company, you're going to need to create a Cushion module of your own that generates the Kubernetes manifest for that particular kind of CRD, and then do the Cushion apply. So it does support it, but you will need a corresponding module for it.
Yeah, the idea of Kubernetes to standardize and simplify the infrastructure. Yeah.
All right, I've just posted the link to the catalog repo in the chat.
Yeah, I want to mention that the Kubernetes is very powerful. We have some develop guide about how to develop a Kubernetes in our website. Actually, yeah, my colleague will send the link to the chat. You literally can do anything with Kubernetes. Yeah, right. You want Kubernetes. The main logic of Kubernetes is written by Golang. Yeah, it's a GPL. So you can request request from a web server, or you can load a file, and you can literally do anything you want. So yeah. So if you want to build your own Kubernetes according to your own business in your company, I'm sure Kubernetes will help you.
Yep. Well, hopefully that answers your question. All right, so I have posted the ways to reach out to us in the chat. I'm gonna do it again so that it's latest. Yeah, so if you think of any questions later on, feel free to reach out anytime via GitHub issues, via emails, via this particular Slack channel. We'll be watching those as well.
And we are also looking for partners.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, we're also looking for partners that want to have interest in Kusion and to build Kusion together. And yeah, as you can see, it's an open source project.
Yep.
Yeah.
All kind of partnerships welcomed.
Yeah.
All right. That wraps it up. We will end the meeting in just a little. And again, remember, reach out anytime you want. And thanks again for all of you coming today. Wow, this has gone for almost 2 hours. All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for your time.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.